Casey's Audio Vault.
Rob Halford from Judas Priest.
July 24th, 2008.
Hello, Alex.
Hello, it's Casey, actually.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Casey. Hello, Casey.
How are you doing?
I thought this was Alex, my Sony BMG contact.
No, I just got hooked directly to you. It's Casey.
Wonderful. It's nice to speak with you, Casey.
How is the metal god today?
The metal god's in fighting shape, ready to go on stage in front of 50,000 metal maniacs at midnight.
Do you like that nickname?
Well, the fans gave it me many, many years ago. When they first started to call me that, I didn't really think that much of it, but as I've lived longer with it, it's just a wonderful thing to be called, and I suppose it brings a little bit of an element of responsibility, if you want to call it that.
Feel any pressure because you've been around for so long? You're kind of the originator of metal, and now you got a double album out, and you have something to prove?
Well, no, I think we've got nothing left to prove. I think what we're doing in terms of proof is to ourselves by taking on this very ambitious project of Nostradamus, which took about 2 years to make, as you know, and now it's released, and it's gone in the charts all over the world, and we're ecstatic about that. We thank the fans very much for that wonderful first week of release. Having said that, when you go on stage, you know who you are, and you want to put on the best show that you can and not disappoint yourself as players, which we rarely, if ever, we do. More importantly, make sure that the fans see this living legend called Judas Priest in firing on all cylinders and giving everybody a great time.
Are you wearing leather right now?
Actually, no, I'm not. I'm not reclining in leather at the moment. I'm in my hotel room in Brussels talking to friends around the world, but I'm hoping that my leather is steaming away in a wardrobe case somewhere from the 3 shows that we've just done back to back. We've had a day off, fortunately, just to rest up a little bit, and we've got the Grass Pop tonight, which is a festival, the Bang Your Head Festival in Germany the next night, and then the night after that, the Gods of Metal in Milan, with 12 to 14-hour drives in between shows. So we're just pouring it out right now.
Well, you popularized the biker gear and studs in metal. How did you feel when everyone started copying you?
Well, I think it's just a great compliment. I mean, we never knew that was what was going to happen. The story goes, of course, that when we began with our metal in the 70s, the sound was becoming defined, but the look was very much in kind of transition. So it wasn't until probably, I don't know, maybe the back end of Sad Wings of Destiny, Sin After Sin, that we really gave it some kind of visual formula. I mean, when I get dressed and put about 20, 30 pounds of leather and studs and whips and chains on my back, then I feel like the metal god about to go out and do my gig. It's no different to Shaq putting on his uniform,
Well, now in the death metal scene or black metal scene, it's almost like it's a cartoon of what you started.
Well, I think there's lots of perceptions about heavy metal from many, many different quarters. I think the guys from Immortal, for example, who are an extreme metal band from Scandinavia, when they put on their makeup and all of their clothes, they feel that it's right for them. Their fans want to see that it feels right for the whole experience. So I think that the people that kind of look at it from the outside in probably are confused because they don't know what the hell's going on. But that's the way it is with all kinds of music,
Is it true?
If you don't understand country and western, you probably think it's strange that you get a bunch of cowboys standing there in cowboy boots and cowboy hats, but that's what it's meant to be like.
Is it true that PETA, the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, contacted you and asked you to stop wearing leather?
Yeah, they did, actually. I love all these organisations, especially people that are passionate about what they believe in. I personally am not a vegetarian, so I don't really have a problem with doing what I do and looking the way that I look. I think that if you're as extremely attached to a belief and a philosophy as you have, that you get so upset that you need to contact Judas Priest, then so be it. I walk out dressed like the way I dress because that's the right thing for me. Then I go and have a big feast of meat after the show.
And Hellbent for Pleather really wouldn't have the same ring to it.
Well, it certainly wouldn't, would it? I mean, I tell you the thing about that in its simplicity, when you're doing 3 shows back to back and you come off stage and you're absolutely drenched with sweat, I'll probably lose about 20 pounds in doing a world tour like this one. Sometimes wearing the artificial leather is easier for our wonderful wardrobe lady Nikki to get prepared, shining and stunning for the next performance.
I was born in 77, and nothing was cooler to me than my older brother's and his friends' metal records. I was barely in elementary school at the time. Did you have someone in your life that turned you on to music at a very young age?
Well, I'm fortunate that I grew up in the 50s. I was born in 1951 when rock and roll was just kicking off, and so I cherish those first moments of seeing the King, Elvis, Little Richard, Bill Haley and the Comets, Jerry Lee Lewis, the founding fathers of the rock and roll movement, and then in the 60s, the incredible Beatles, and then the transition into the electric rock. That everything goes back and forth across the pond, as we call it, from America to the UK. So when I first started to hear people like Hendrix, for example, that was it for me. All that real powerful, aggressive, in-your-face volume and incredible technique. So I kind of cut my teeth on both elements of music. What was useful for me was getting an understanding of how important melody is. All of the great things that have lived in music contain strong melody. It's either from the instrumental side of it or from the vocal performance. So I've always used that in my singing style, probably more so than ever on Nostradamus right now.
What took you from enjoying the Elvises and the Beatles to stepping it up and turning it up, really? How did you get into making the loud, aggressive music?
Well, there were all of these new definitive things happening, and for me as a teenager, going through the teenage angst, I didn't have a Nirvana, I basically was looking for something that would kind of be a catalyst for my anger, for my frustration as a teenager when I was going through that change of life that we all do, especially for the male component. So it was just very exciting for me to be able to hear this very incredibly powerful source of rock and roll that was getting heavier and heavier and heavier through the late 60s, early 70s.
And Judas Priest was also at the forefront of the whole subliminal messages and music controversy. Does that seem silly to you now, or even more silly?
Well, I would never say it's silly because 2 very wonderful young men lost their lives to the combination of excessive alcohol and drugs and a very non-stable family environment. That's going to live with us forever, Of course, we had to go to court and basically defend not only ourselves but the whole style of rock and roll called heavy metal. The whole subliminal message issue was rubbish because we've never done anything like that, nor will we ever do anything of that nature. So it's a kind of a sad point in the big glorious picture of Judas Priest that sold millions and millions of records and entertained millions and millions of people and saved many, many lives because we've constantly been on the receiving end of emails and so forth from people that have said, thank you, Judas Priest, for getting me through some bleak and dark moments of my life because of this song or that song. You helped me overcome some difficulties. So it's a kind of a mixed feeling when we look back and think about what happened in Reno all those years ago.
Music as a scapegoat hasn't necessarily changed over all these years because it still crops up every once in a while. But what is new is all the new technology. We got iTunes and video games like Guitar Hero and Rock Band. And you've launched right into that as well. You released Screaming for Vengeance on Rock Band.
Yes, we did, and that's remarkable, isn't it? I mean, we've never shied away from taking full advantage of what technology can bring in the recording process. We've gone away from the big 3-inch reels of tape and multi-tracking decks into Pro Tools and that type of recording experience. And equally, the invention of the Internet, which is totally a paradox. It's a real Pandora's box because we're consistently being affected by illegal downloads, not just Judas Priest, but the music world in general and the movie world. So that's a difficulty, but the overall advantages of of the internet and what it's brought with it has been as far outweighed the more bleaker moments that are still around us.
Have you played any of your songs on Rock Band?
Oh, I'm absolutely useless at that, Casey. I've tried it. I just can't coordinate. I don't know how people do it. I think that's just something of a gift. I know it's a lot of fun. Somebody bought me one of those Nintendo Wii's. Played it for about 3 minutes and then put it back in the box. It's just not my world, But I have seen some of these masters playing Rock Band and Guitar Hero on YouTube, and I'm absolutely stunned at their ability to do it so well.
Well, with Rock Band, you could just have the microphone. You could be singing. You could be singing your own songs.
So I don't think I've ever karaoke'd with myself. So there's always a first for that to wait and happen. But it's a lot of fun, and again, it broadens your audience base. Some people may be getting into Priest as a result of some of these video games that are out in today's world.
Well, maybe it could be a new pre-show ritual for you.
You never know.
Do you have any pre-show rituals?
I have absolutely none. No, I just get dressed, grab the mic, and go to work.
Well, we're talking about Rock Band video games and just having fun with the music and watching a heavy metal parking lot. Everyone hanging out, getting ready for a Judas Priest show. They're all just looking to have a good time. Do you enjoy that part of your history, the fact that this documentary was made about you?
I think if you went into any parking lot before a Judas Priest show 25 years ago or the coming show tonight, that's what people are doing. They're hanging out, having a few brews, talking about the bands that they love so much, and being together united, as a bunch of fans that love this style of music and this style of band. And it really hasn't changed since that wonderful little documentary was made all those years ago.
I appreciate getting you on the phone. I want to ask you about the new record. A very large question. Why Nostradamus?
Well, just because he's just a very compelling, mysterious character full of intrigue and controversy. We just loved all of the extra things that we found out about him besides his prophecies that he's renowned for. We just wanted to get more into the personal issues of his life. And then, having done that, we realised that there are certain attributes in his life that are relevant to heavy metal music in some of the messages that we talk about, because metal has always been there, standing on its own feet, believing in itself, pushing back at people that don't understand it. It also conveys the issues that we all go through in our lives, in terms of joy and sadness and overcoming any number of issues. And so the real-life events that happened to Nostradamus 500 years ago are still happening in today's world, and I think we found that to be a really useful thing to talk about with the messages and the lyrics in the music of Nostradamus.
Several years ago, there was this sketch comedy show called Mr. Show, and they had a bit about Nostradamus. Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't. What's that about?
They used Nostradamus to see the future of children's fashion, and it was just very absurd comedy. If you get the chance...
So it's kind of satirical?
Extremely satirical, yeah.
Well, I love satire because you can only satirize great things that happen in life. You can't really satirize something that's not known and that's not in the public domain on a large level. So I think anything that happens in form of satire, whether it's that or Spinal Tap, has to be kind of looked at and smiled and embraced because it is something that can be made into a comedic fashion. I don't think it really attacks the source in a derogatory sense. I believe that, as I said, you can only become satirical on events or people that have probably achieved great things.
Well, if you get a chance on YouTube, just search for Mr. Show Nostradamus. You might
I'll do that.
Get a kick out of that.
I'm intrigued now to find out what this is about.
Well, I appreciate getting you on the phone. I'm very much looking forward to you coming through Canada and the show here in Winnipeg.
So are we, yeah. It's going to be great to come back through, raring to get back in front of our Canadian fans again, Casey. And thank you for what you're doing for us at Power 97, looking after the Priest and all forms of metal. We appreciate that.
You're very welcome, Rob. Have a great show tonight.
Thank you so much, my friend.